Welcome to Pure Mind Magic, the show to evolve your mind. Our mind is the most powerful thing we have, but no one teaches us how to use it. When we find out how, we're ready to create magic in life and in business. Learn real mindset secrets from brilliant minds around the world to change your mindset and income level forever. With every decision you make, you create your future. What is your next move? Now, welcome your host, international magician, speaker, and podcast performance consultant, Jennifer S. Royal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Pure Mind Magic. Today, with a really inspiring guest. His name is Ralph Carrasco, and he has a really amazing life experience behind him, and you can learn a lot from him as a person and also as an entrepreneur. So Ralph was in the military, and while learning a lot of things there, he made the transition into franchising. So he was a business owner there and now finally transformed into a business coach, helping entrepreneurs and business people to have the perfect online reputation and to show yourself and your business just in the right light to attract the perfect customers for you. So basically, he is using the platform Yelp for this and is going through with you how to set up the best portfolio you can imagine to really stay there confident and radiate out what you would like for customers to attract into your business. He has several great tips for you and also a COVID-19 action plan for business owners that he specially put together. So let's learn how you can improve your online reputation today. Here is for you, Ralph Carrasco. 2, 1. Hi, Ralph. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Jennifer. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to have you today because you are such an interesting personality, and I was so glad that you reached out, and I think everyone will take a lot of inspiration and also business wisdom from our conversation. But before we dive into all of that, Ralph, please introduce yourself to the audience.
All right. Again, my name's Ralph Carrasco. I am a consultant. I served in the United States Navy for just shy of 11 years. From that point, I exited in 2010. I purchased a franchise, and it gave me an opportunity to really learn business from like business in a box style. And in an effort to really expand and grow and deliver more knowledge to the world, I stepped out to become a consultant at the end of 2017. And I've just been moving and grooving since then. And now I'm a Yelp certified advertising partner, and it's been wonderful. So thank you.
Wow, that is already a great introduction, I would say, Ralph. So really a lot that happened in your life. So it sounds like a lot of action. And I'm curious, so what first brought you to the military? Why did you came up with this decision?
Well, I was raised in the Pacific Northwest of Washington State in the United States, and from that point, it's a very military-centric area. My father served in the United States Navy, and so for me, there was always this understanding that the world is bigger than just my backyard or, the small town that I'm in, or even in the state that I'm in. I've always dreamed about seeing the world, touching exotic places and doing that. And so in 1999, in an effort to be a smart person and with computers really coming on board faster and faster, I chose the U.S. Navy for that reason and became an electronics technician. So that's really kind of what sparked it is a desire to see the world touch exotic places, meet interesting people, see what's really going on out there, instead of just floating along. So I've always had this desire to see more and do more and to engage with people and humans.
That is great, yeah. And that fits with your personality, actually. So, after being in the Navy, Ralph, for 11 years, what brought you to that switch that you decided to quit and do something else in your life?
Well, I think in any nation military unit that you're in, sometimes if the cohesion between husband and wife is not as strong as it could be, or if one individual grows at a faster rate of speed than the other, there tends to become a disconnect. And my ex-wife and I, we didn't really work out, but I had 2 daughters. And so when I exited, my 5-year-old, I had just got done climbing Mount Fuji for my birthday, 2nd year in a row. I came down, I was all pumped and excited. And, candidly, I called my house to speak with my daughter, whose birthday is 3 days after mine. She was turning 4, and I was like, or 5, I believe. And I said, "Hey, baby, how's it going?" And she's just like, "Hey, Dad." And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's just like, "I don't like it when you miss birthdays." And that just like ripped my heart out. I was on track to be a naval officer. I had recommendations from admirals and captains of warship, but I knew that if I had done another 10 years in the United States Navy, even another 20, I would have missed the opportunity to engage with my daughters. And as an individual who's a product of a divorced family and not really having a strong connection with my father, I made an internal choice that was more important than anything else.
Wow, yeah, that makes absolutely sense. I think this is a really, really strong inner reason that you took there. And I'm interested now because you went through all of that in the Navy. And when we look now into business, what would you say are the things that you really learned from being in the military? Because I just can imagine, because obviously I've never been there in the German military, but when I think about it, it has a lot to do with discipline and really following rules. And you just can't let yourself go and be comfortable. So it's always on the spot. I think there's a lot of pressure and tension. So how did you deal with all of that? And what would you say that someone who's owning a business or looking to start a business can learn from your special experiences?
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. It is a very interesting transition. As you mentioned, though, being spot on, that really is a superpower for military individuals, where to rise in the ranks of any military organization, and I believe this in any corporate organization, as well as within business, to dealing with consumers directly, there's an aspect of image and professionalism. And so I exited and was fully out of the military at the end of February of 2010. And by July of 2010, I was already servicing customers with my in-home service franchise. And so what I did is I made sure that when we showed up, we were spot on, that we called ahead, that I say uni, but the uniform looked crisp, or whatever I was wearing, I always looked presentable. I always looked like an individual who was standing up straight, not slouching. I smiled, right? Because I understood the importance of a good smile to release any tensions, because if you can imagine, I'm 6 foot and my weight ranges from anywhere from 230 to 250, depending on the season, right? Holidays are always a little bit more challenging. But with an in-home service franchise, I was realizing that 90% of my clients were like mommies and females. And so I had to learn, and I ultimately taught my technicians and those that I interacted with, that your energy has to be so neutral when you go into the home of of a woman where you're going to be spending 3 or 4 hours there. You're going to be performing a service, and there's all these questions going on in her head. Am I going to be able to trust him? Is he going to be weird? Is he going to be okay with my kids? Do I got to hide my jewelry? Like, there's all these questions that go in the mind of a female without her even acknowledging them, but it helps with the fight or flight to make sure that we're protected. So ultimately, just making sure that we're as professional as possible. I mean, to the point of every morning running my vehicle through an automatic car wash just to clear off the dust and dirt from the day, just to make sure that when we showed up, we were as professional as possible. And that is my number one advice for anybody in the world. Whether it's on a Zoom call, whether it's during COVID-19, or you're meeting someone face to face, if you have a presentable image, you will always win. And that's how ultimately I came up with my tagline, become the obvious choice.
Very cool. So that is really, really good advice you're sharing there. And I also think that there's a lot to image and on how you step up and present yourself. So yeah, that's great. And Ralph, I'm also curious, what changed in your mindset when you shifted into a business person?
Great question. You realize quickly, because when you're in the military or you're an organization or you're an employee, there's this mindset of just serving. And I see it a lot in nonprofits. A lot of times nonprofits, they're so heart-driven and they're so focused on what their mission and their core and their goal is that you have to still focus on the revenue flow. And so even though we would go in at first and spend sometimes twice or 3 times the amount of time making sure that things were done perfectly, that we did the best of our ability, a lot of times it didn't match with the revenue flow that was coming in. And so for a lot of military people and service people who were focused on just delivering that, there still comes that element of, okay, I still have to make my franchise payments. I still have to do all of these other things. Yes, my customers are satisfied beyond belief, but you still have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself on the back end. And I think a lot of times people forget that or negate that factor before it's too late.
Yes, that makes sense. And can you share with us what kind of franchise you got in, or what industry?
Yeah. Here's another key factor is most military people, especially the enlisted and officers as well, our secondary superpower is that we are excellent cleaners. We have to make sure our equipment is clean. We have to make sure that the office is clean. We make sure that everything is clean and pristine, because the last thing that you want is to trip over something or have to worry about something, dirty or malfunctioning because it wasn't properly maintained. So because I was dealing with so much from the military, the transition, my high-speed ways, I didn't want to be in a position where I was sacrificing the goal of what my exit plan was for. And so I wanted to make sure I had something that allowed me to be fluid, so that if my daughter had something to do, like a school play, or if I needed to go and pick her up, or if she needed to be sick and I needed to stay home with her, I found a franchise that helped me with that, and that was an in-home service of cleaning. And so we would clean tile and grout, upholstery, and carpet. And the franchise was OxyFresh. And so great franchise, wonderful people there. And so from that point, it made sense to me. Even though I could go in, I can clean something up real fast, make it look beautiful, it worked. And so the consumer was happy, I was happy, and as time went on, it was a wonderful marriage, great relationship.
Great, yeah. I think that's for a lot of people also a good start when they are in a 9-to-5 job, not maybe in the military, but really working those hours. And then there's a huge transition when you go into entrepreneurship or become a business owner or just build your own business. I think that franchise can help you in this transition phase with giving your systems that work for you, so that you don't have to figure everything on your own in the first step while you are going from employee to business owner. What do you think, Ralph?
I 100% agree. For me, my creativity was not unlocked by then. I was still stuck in the cube or in the box and listening to what people were saying to do. I've seen so many business owners over the years stop their dream because they get stuck on their logo. They're like, and the logo is such a foundation piece because, that's what helps with recognition, which you ultimately want to build. No different than when you see the Apple logo or the Starbucks logo or, one of the other global icon brand. And what you're going to get when you step into that establishment. And so, yeah, it's funny. You are exactly right. I see so many people just get so stuck on just like their logo. And I'm just like, you can fix it later. Just get something out. Just come on, just get something out. Just pick. You can change it later. I promise. It doesn't matter. Just keep going.
Yes, so true. I mean, you need an offer, so otherwise you have no conversions, no sales, no nothing. And when you have a perfect logo and perfect website, but no offer, so that does not help.
No, it doesn't. And you're right. You have to get out there. You got to make sales, and you have to, have that conversation. And then the other thing that makes me laugh and chuckle and why I got into this is there's still so many people who haven't made the transition. There's so many business owners out there who have, the mom and pop or the multi-location that has maybe 3 or 4, and they've done things a certain way for so long, and the internet honestly came up and surprised them. And now they're having to backtrack and fix old websites. And, they may be phenomenal in the community, but if you were to look at them online, if you're coming into the community, if you're coming into the area, they're leading with, as restaurants, sometimes you'll see, plates of food that are half eaten with a fork on it. And that's the first logo or the first picture that you see to represent the business. And I'm like, that doesn't compel me to want to walk into your business. When you're a plumber and you're just showing pictures of the piping that you fixed, that doesn't help a consumer really figure out what you do. And so, yeah, there's so many people that need help, and I appreciate you having this, so that way I can express my thoughts, and so many others as well. It's great.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about that, how, Ralph, you can help people, because you said you are a business coach now, and you already made the point that you really know how business works and what to do and what decisions to make. So when someone listening is interested in getting more from your advice that you learned in all those different fields in your life already, how is it best to work with you? How can they reach out? And how is a coaching with you looking like?
Okay, thank you. So for me, I really kind of developed all of this from watching Amazon come up right around 2010, 2011. Do you ever really shop off Amazon?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Are you a Prime member?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so do you ever buy anything off of Prime if there's a Prime option?
Yes, almost always.
You do. So you'll buy something if there's a Prime option, you'll pick that over something that is not Prime, correct?
Yes, most of the time, yes.
Okay, perfect. And then so as you're shopping on Amazon, you'll notice the first thing that shows up is your photos, right? So like, let's say you're looking for a new chair for your office, correct? You're going to type in office chair black, or you're just going to type in office chair because, you're wondering whatever color speaks to you at the time, right? Mm-hmm. you kind of have an image in your head as to how you want the office chair to look, what kind of features you're looking for, and all of that, right? So the first thing that shows up on an Amazon listing is the photos. And so have you ever gone to a listing, right? The star count looks great. They've got 4 or 5 stars. They're prime. It can come to you fast. But you click on the photos, and let's say the photo, when you tap on it, it becomes pixelated, or it's not a very high quality image. Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And so from that point, you've probably either bounced and gone to the listing right below it, or you've maybe given them the benefit of the doubt, like, okay, let me see if I can, maybe they're offering something in here. Why is this so special? Why do so many people love this chair when the photos are not very high quality? Have you ever had that feeling?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. And then so from that point on in the Amazon listing, you go down a little bit more, and then you have your description, correct? And so you're going to want to read about the width of the seat, maybe. You want to read about the features. You want to read about, how many different ways can I adjust this chair for my optimum sitting enjoyment? Is there lumbar support? Have you ever had an experience like that?
Yes.
Okay, and then from that point, you're like, okay, I have a warm fuzzy. Now I'm going to read the reviews, and I'm going to see what people have said, and then more so, I'm going to look and see how the company has responded to negative reviews. Have you ever had that inclination?
Yes, that is kind of my strategy when I look for bigger things to buy.
Okay, so you feel completely exposed right now,
Yes.
but you are 98% of the people out there. And that is exactly what is wrong with the majority of online profiles, is that people have neglected their structure and have not given it the due diligence as a business owner if somebody else was considering their goods or services. So that's what we do, is we help people structure how they look online from the first presentable moment. How do your photos look? How is your star rating? How are you responding to reviews? How is your written descriptions for everything? How are you communicating to people? Are you communicating to people, and are you doing it quickly and effectively? Because I also imagine if you're buying something online, Jennifer, that you're probably going to reach out to somebody when their response time is a little bit quicker, let's say within an hour versus 2 or 3 days or a week. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So what I've done is, even though I am the high-tech guy in the military, I got my degree in human resource development because I knew that there was always going to be a need for humans and how humans interact with other humans and what humans do to make a choice and a decision. And I know that sounds a little like, whoa, but it's really the foundation of everything that I do, because if you can understand the mindset of the individual who's considering your services, well, then from that point, you'll be able to have a better relationship with them, because then there's no convincing, because in their head, they've already come to the conclusion that you are the obvious choice. Especially you as an individual who does work internationally. You're very seasoned on the internet. You know how to spot something that's fake or spammy or not genuine, and you don't even want to interact with that in any way, shape, or form. Am I on the right page with you?
Yes, you are. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. And so from that point, that's exactly what I'm bringing to the table from my education in human resource development and understanding how humans engage. And then from that point, with my technical background, and then from having a desire to see humans really engage in a stronger manner on the planet, because ultimately, as I told you before the call, I was on a road trip up here to see my aging parents for about 12 hours. And if my due diligence wasn't dialed in for the trip, you and I might not be having this conversation. And so what I've come to realize is that ultimately, for all of us, it's helping us go around the sun on Starship Earth. And if I can help somebody else have a better experience while they're on the planet, then I've done my my job, my role, and my responsibility as a human.
Wow, that is very impressive and really straight to the point. And as you describe it, I think, Ralph, it's really a unique package you can offer there. So everything that comes together, and I mean, the whole world is moving more and more online, also due to, at the time of recording, COVID-19. So the better I think you are represented online with everything you are doing and offering, the better for you, right?
Yes, that is 100% correct, and that's why I developed an action plan for some people to help them with their stuff because of the unique certification that I have with Yelp. And so really that's the core of it, is making sure that when somebody is looking, that you catch their attention. Did you play games and sports with other children when you were younger?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember the whole team picking process?
Yes.
Like when you have to pick teams?
Yes. I really like remembering this because I know most people don't, but I was in sports always number 1 or 2 because that was really my thing with sports. But yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not degrading anybody by any means, but even children understand this at a core level. They want to win, as we all do, and we want the best people on our team possible. So a lot of times we're going to pick that person who looks the part. You know, you're going to pick an individual for a sports team if they have their, the shorts and the shirt look like they're ready to be a part of it. It's not too loose where they can get something caught or whatever else. And so maybe you're going to pick the person that is a little bit more athletic than the other person, because ultimately, like you just said, you want to be 1 or 2. Are we on the same page?
Yes, we are.
And so that's how I've come to discover this. That's what consumers want as well. In any country, in any part of the world, there's a component where they always say word of mouth is the best advertising. And so if somebody has a problem, people are quick to say, oh, you need help with your plumbing. Well, I know a plumber. He's amazing. You should see my plumber and talk to my plumber. And then somebody else says, well, you should talk to my plumber. And then somebody else says, well, I'm going to talk to my plumber. And then ultimately that person goes, thanks, everybody. I'm going to, of course, everyone's polite in their own way, but then at the same time, we've all come to learn who gives us better insights than somebody else, right? Like some people, you're like, yeah, I tried your plumber, or I tried maybe your roofer before, and I had nothing but problems. So thank you for your recommendation. Very polite. But internally you're not going to pick that person because you had a bad experience from their recommendation in the past. Are we on the same page still?
Yes.
So ultimately that's still what happens with consumers. Anybody is we're so savvy now. People know how to use the internet. People know how to shop and buy. Do you remember Y2K? That whole the world's going to come crashing down because the computers don't know how to handle 2000 from 1999?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Perfect. All of those children born that year are now part of the economic buying force. And the only way that they know how to shop and buy is watching their adult parents use cell phones, use computers to make decisions, especially now more than ever as they are starting to have disposable income themselves from being part of the buying force. That's how they're going to shop and buy. So we've ultimately created a whole generation that is only going to use computers to make their decisions in the future, and that's why AI is so powerful.
Yes, very interesting how you describe it, and I never looked at it like that, but of course, yeah, you're right. And as I said, it's moving more and more online now, and it's really so important how you present yourself and that you are present there in the right way. And I think people from an older generation still have difficulties to get things up online, so that it is not that you are coming to the website and think, oh, what is that? So they maybe have the perfect store, but it's very important, I think, that they have the same present and are able to bring the same feelings across as if you would step into their actual store.
I 100% agree.
So, and Ralph, you can help people with that, right? And maybe you can
Yes.
also give us some insights on this COVID-19 action plan for business owners you put together. So I saw it online. You do have a short explainer video there as well. But what can people expect from this? Because I think a lot of people are really afraid, especially when they are business owners, and it's really unpredictable how this whole thing internationally is moving. So what would you say is best? What decisions to make now when you have your own business that is maybe part online? What can they do?
Thank you. Yes, that's great. So I looked at how people are really using the internet, and from so many people flooding my calls or flooding my phone lines and taking calls, everyone's like, help, what do I do? Which way do I go? And there comes a point where I can only give so much to everybody one-on-one. So that's why I made this action plan. And so I go through it in a manner where I help people realize what the core components are that are important to a consumer, such as if I'm looking for a plumber, I want to know that they're open right now, because a lot of people are not updating their special hours, or, just to say that, hey, this is an unprecedented time, if you have to, please mark your business temporarily closed. Also, we go through to make sure that we show people how to index themselves properly on the Yelp platform, because I am a Yelp certified agency partner, which is an invitation-only program. Being indexed is important because with Amazon Alexa, all of that local data is powered by Yelp. Same with Apple. Apple Map and Apple Siri is powered by Yelp data. Windows with Cortana and Bing, that's powered by Yelp, as well as Yahoo and AOL, MapQuest, and so many others, which may not be relevant in some countries, but with Amazon, Apple, and Windows all using Yelp data, it is important that people are indexed properly. It's important that they're using the special COVID-19 message option that Yelp has, that they're updating their service area to show where they do help people in certain areas if they go to their home or their business, as well as engaging through communication and chat. And on top of that, ensuring, just like I went through with you on your Amazon listing, that your written description is created in a manner that's influential. And everything that I just listed right there is free on Yelp. You don't have to pay for it, but people don't know how to use it. And so that's why I've priced this action plan very affordably, so then that way people can get in there, update their stuff, so that way they do become relevant on those directories, because Yelp is the #1 online directory in the United States. And then there's 3 other sections that talk about the enhancements. And so, like you mentioned, I do have a very unique approach. And as I mentioned as well, being a service member, my mindset is always helping first. And, there's a Zig Ziglar quote that I love, and it goes something along the lines of, if you help enough people get what they want in life, you will get everything that you want in life. And so I am very focused on helping as many people as possible, not from just by ads, because if your profile doesn't look nice, you're just wasting money on ads. And yeah, it's great. So people can go to ralphcarrasco.com and they can check that out. I should have a link in there on the website. And from that point, people could just click that and hear like you said, the sales video or explainer video on that, and then kind of move forward.
Very nice and great quote. So I know that as well, and often think about it because it's so true. And I think especially in these times now, it's really important that you help as many people as you can, so to make the world a better place as this is possible so far. And maybe, Ralph, you can explain a little deeper, because I have international listeners, and you said that Yelp is this US platform directory, and myself, I came across this name several times, but never really looked into it. So is it also possible from people from around the globe to work with the platform Yelp, or is it just for US-based citizens?
No, Yelp is in numerous countries all over the world. Many Americans use it when they do travel internationally. I know that TripAdvisor as well is very powerful directory. For me, one of the reasons why I love Yelp is that what it really is, and I've done a YouTube video about this, and I have a YouTube channel called Carrasco Consulting people can find. Yelp at the core of it, and any directory at the core of it, is a decision-making tool. Because there's so many options, just like Amazon. Amazon is a directory as well. It's a directory of goods. Do you want to buy from this seller or do you want to buy from that seller? They're just the middle person offering you the options. So again, it's one of the reasons why I love Yelp as an international business as well as a local US one. And another tidbit that I really want to share with you is, and especially since you help the business community on such an impactful way, whatever review platform that you focus on, I hope that your listeners hear me, and I say hear me, not just listen, but really hear when I say that on average, 95% of the people that use directories use them only like an encyclopedia or for research. Only 5% of the people that use Yelp actually, or any directory really, actually write reviews. So we have a situation with the star count system in the world and the review system in the world that we all know can be manipulated through gating platforms and all this, which Yelp is very against, and another reason why I love it. But you have 5% of the people who are swaying the decision making of the other 95%. And again, it's the strongest point as to why I focus on profile first, and why business owners and business representatives really need to start coming together and helping each other. Because I'm sure that there's businesses that you use in your country that could benefit very well from you publicly putting your name on a review describing how well they've taken care of you in the past. Is that true? Would you say that, you've worked with businesses locally that could really benefit from your written description of how they served you?
Yes, absolutely. So I think there is a huge power to this social proof, because every business can tell forever how great they are, but it's not as authentic as someone else, the customer or another customer, is describing their real life experience and giving recommendations. Exactly.
And what I promote in networking groups is that, a lot of times people stand up and they're like, oh, I really, as you mentioned, Robert Cialdini, influence. I love social proof. It's another component of what I do. You have people who stand up in rooms and say how wonderful somebody is. But if you really want to take that recommendation to the next level, when you start writing reviews for a company, put your name on it and say that you are a business owner and that you do recommend this place. Because if you're a business with a powerful online image and a powerful reputation, and somebody then cross-references, right, like we've all learned to do, we then cross-reference, okay, well, who are you to say this about them? And then you're like, oh, wow, that's what you do and you recommend them? Oh, yeah, I'm calling them right now, because everyone wants to be in that powerful circle of being first. Just like we described in sports, we all want the best team members possible on our teams.
Yes. So that was a really good overview, Ralph, on Yelp and how the platform works. And I'm glad that it's working internationally so everyone can access it and search there and also leave then a review. And I'm really happy that you are helping so many people on getting a better online reputation and presentation. And to round our interview up, I wanted to touch on something, Ralph, that makes you even more special and unique in your personality and the overall package you are bringing together. Because when we set this interview up, we also talked a little bit about energy work and energy in general. And I know you know a lot about that. And I think it's a very important part when it comes to all day life, because even from physics, it's said that everything in the universe is energy. And you know exactly when you make a business deal with someone, you feel when it feels good or when it doesn't feel good. And I think when you really concentrate on this energy and you are sensible, that you can be way more successful than just working with your analytical mind and going with pros and cons. So what can you say? How can energy work help a business owner, an entrepreneur, and how did it help you after getting out of the military?
Yes, thank you. I 100% agree with you. Energy is a powerful thing. And for me, I had to do a lot of work on my own mindset, because when you serve in the military, whichever country it is, there's rules and there's regulations, and they break you down so then that way they can build you up to be the best version of yourself. I mean, that's ultimately the goal for any country, because just like a superhero, you got to do the training, and sometimes that training doesn't feel good, but it needs to be done so you can be the best version of yourself. When I exited the military, there was this sense of loss, and I was kind of questioning everything. And I've always been in tune kind of with my own energy and how I affect people, because as you mentioned, yes, I'm very analytical, but at the same time, across the globe, even from this interview where you and I have never met face to face, I've been able to put a smile on your face and have you chuckle just from the words that I've said and the energy that I've delivered on this call. And I imagine that there's a lot of people smiling right now, not even understanding why they're smiling. And from that point as well, you can be anywhere in the world and think about somebody. And once you think about somebody, that feels amazing. And then have you ever had that experience when you think about them, all of a sudden they call you or they reach out to you and they're like, hey, how's it going? We haven't connected in a while. And you're like, oh, I was just thinking about you. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yes, this kind of magic moment.
Those magic moments. And so for me, I went down the road of becoming a Reiki master and learning how to clear my own energy, so then that way I could be present when I was speaking with somebody instead of being in my head all the time. Like you mentioned, thinking about numbers, thinking about analytics, or all of these other craziness, that you really have to understand that we're all humans here and that we are here to help each other make this planet the best way that we can, instead of focusing on the division or what's going on or theoreticals or people scared about their lack of choice being taken away through mandatory vaccinations and all of this. And really, if we come together and we understand that there's only two core emotions in life, and that's love and fear, and that's it. Everything stems from fear on the negative aspect, fight or flight, anger, depression, all of that, it stems from fear because we're ultimately fearful of something happening. And then the power of what women have and the love that women can radiate on the planet, and the love that is within all of us to really grow and expand ourselves, that's where true healing comes from. And if you can tap into that, and we all have the power within us, if we learn to tap into that and we learn to meditate, we'll be such an amazing human being species on planet Earth, because if we're able to radiate that love to the world, we'll see plants grow, we'll see animals be successful, we'll see other humans be successful, because the planet is ever abundant. And I think there's a quote that the Dalai Lama said that if we can get a generation of kids to learn how to meditate, then there'll never be war on the planet again, because senseless killing is frustrating to me.
Yes, that is a very strong quote, and I think this is a perfect inspiration for the end of our interview today. So, Ralph, you mentioned the COVID-19 action plan for business owners that people can get from your website, and I will leave in the link a link in the show notes, as well as you said that you do have a YouTube channel where you share some advice on business consulting. So I will link that as well. And it was really a pleasure to have you on the show today, Ralph. Maybe you have one last bit of advice to close this episode.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's been a pleasure. So as I say to everybody, and as I say to the world, big hug to everybody. Keep it funky. Roll with life with a smile on your face. And at times, if you can just hold the door for someone who maybe doesn't look like they need it, and you realize that somebody, even the most hardened criminal in the world, loves somebody, whether that's a niece or a nephew or a grandparent. And if we focus on that, there's no problems in life. Just have fun.
Thank you for joining me today at this amazing interview with Ralph Carrasco. Definitely make sure when you want to improve your online presence and business to check out everything Ralph is offering in his business coaching from his website, as well as when you are looking into the COVID-19 action plan. You will find all the links in the show notes directly below this episode. And in case that you're still open for even more inspiration, you know that I love books, I collect books, and I'm always on the lookout for new books. And a few days ago, I found one. This is an ebook called Holistic Healing: Common Herbs and Essentials from Cassandra Hill. Because while stuck at home, I'm looking for everything that can just improve the experience from having this home office 24/7. And herbs and essentials, you might know, are thousands of years old, so already used by the Egyptians. And it really can help with those to improve your focus and to keep you in a good mood and keep you motivated and give you the right drive. And Cassandra Hill has also a business built around that. Holistic Living Consulting is the website. I will leave you a link in the show notes as well, in case you would like to dive deeper into that, or just grab the ebook, get some fresh inspiration for yourself, and see how you can upgrade your workspace or your personal space right now in those times when you spend all that time at home. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you soon. Until then, create some magic.